Have you ever felt stuck trying to improve your English listening and speaking skills? Maybe you listen to conversations but can't quite catch everything, or you're hesitant to speak because you're afraid of making mistakes. Don't worry, you're not alone, and I've got you covered. I put all my videos together to share some simple but super effective ways to not only understand English better, but also speak with more confidence. Whether you're a beginner or already on your way, these tips will help you take your skills to the next level. Stick around because by the end of this video, you'll walk away with actionable steps to make real progress in your English journey. Are you ready? Let's get started. Once you believe that English is easy, you'll start to see that the learning process itself becomes easier. Surround yourself with English every day. Many people believe that in order to speak fluently, you have to live in an English-speaking country. But that's a myth. You can create an English-speaking environment wherever you are. Let's break this down. You don't need to go to an English-speaking country, you don't need to be constantly surrounded by native speakers, and you don't even need to take expensive classes. You simply need to start incorporating English into your daily routine. Here's what you can do. Change your phone's language to English. Every time you check your phone, you'll be reading in English. Whether you're checking messages, looking at social media, or reading notifications, your brain will start getting comfortable with English. Start thinking in English. Right now, you think in your native language and then translate it into English. This makes speaking slow and awkward. Instead, start thinking in English. It could be as simple as thinking, I am getting up, I am brushing my teeth, or I need to go to the supermarket. Start with small thoughts, and before you know it, your brain will begin thinking in English without needing to translate. Talk to yourself. Stand in front of a mirror and have simple conversations. This is one of the best ways to practice without the fear of being judged. You can ask yourself questions and answer them aloud. This will also help you with your speaking and pronunciation. Imagine yourself talking to someone. If you were in a conversation with a friend, how would you respond? Practice this every day. Label everything in your house in English. Take small pieces of paper, write the English names of objects, and stick them around your house. Every time you see something, say the word out loud. This will make English feel like part of your daily life. For example, when you see the refrigerator, say out loud, "This is a refrigerator. I keep food inside it." When you see a book, say, "This is a book. I am reading this book today." These small changes in your environment will help immerse you in the language. Many people believe that they need to learn perfect grammar before they start speaking. Let me tell you, this is a huge mistake. If you focus too much on grammar, you will always be afraid of making mistakes. And if you are afraid of making mistakes, you will never speak confidently. Think about it. When children learn to speak their native language, they don't memorize grammar rules first. They listen to their parents, repeat words, and eventually start forming sentences. That's exactly how you should learn. Forget about being perfect. Focus on learning to speak first and worry about perfect grammar later. Start with simple sentences like, I am eating. She is going to the market. They are playing football. These simple sentences will help you understand how English works, and before long, you'll find yourself using more complex structures naturally. The key is repetition. Keep saying these sentences until they become second nature. Every action you do can be described in English. The key is to make it natural and part of your routine. Let me give you some examples. In the morning, when you wake up, say, "Good morning, I feel great today." In the kitchen, when you're making breakfast, say, "I'm making tea. This tea smells wonderful." At the market, when you're shopping, you can say, "Excuse me, do you have fresh tomatoes?" Or, "How much is this?" With friends, "Hey, how's it going? Want to hang out today?" Start having simple, everyday conversations. Don't worry if you make mistakes. Just keep speaking. Listen and repeat. When you hear a new sentence, don't just understand it, say it out loud. Copy the pronunciation, copy the tone. This will help you sound more natural. Many people think that speaking fast will make them sound fluent, but it only makes them harder to understand. Speak clearly, and people will listen. Also, try recording your voice. Listen to how you sound and compare it to native speakers. This will help you identify areas for improvement. By doing this consistently, you'll notice an improvement in both your pronunciation and confidence. Fear is the biggest obstacle, but it's something you can overcome with practice. One simple rule to overcome hesitation: the 3-second rule. When you want to speak, give yourself 3 seconds. Don't think too much, just speak. The more you do this, the more confident you will become. Remember, mistakes are part of learning. Finally, start thinking in English. This is the key to speaking fluently without hesitation. When you think in your native language and then translate to English, you slow down your speech. Instead, train your brain to think in English. Start with simple words. When you wake up in the morning, look around and name the things in English. Remember, English is not difficult. The more you practice, the more you will improve. Never give up. Keep speaking, keep listening, keep thinking in English, and soon enough, you'll speak English like a pro. One of the most effective ways to improve your pronunciation is to listen to how native speakers pronounce words and sentences. You must actively listen to their intonation, rhythm, and pronunciation patterns. Listening is the foundation of speaking because it trains your brain to recognize and reproduce sounds correctly. Here's what you need to do. Choose a source. Pick a podcast, YouTube video, or TV show with native English speakers. Make sure it's content you enjoy and can easily understand. Listen actively, focus on how the speaker pronounces each word, and pay attention to the rise and fall of their voice, the speed at which they speak, and how they stress different words. This will help you understand the rhythm of English. Imitate and repeat. After listening to a sentence, pause and repeat it out loud. Try to mimic not only the words but also the tone, pitch, and rhythm. Repeat this process as many times as needed until you sound more natural. For example, listen to the sentence, "I want to go to the park." Pay attention to how the speaker says want and how to is pronounced. Repeat it several times until your pronunciation matches. Speaking quickly often leads to mispronunciations and makes it harder for people to understand you. The key to improving your pronunciation is to speak slowly and clearly. Don't rush. Focus on each word and its sound. Speaking slowly helps you pronounce words correctly and also gives you time to think about how to form the sounds. Try this. Slow down when you speak, especially when practicing. Focus on pronouncing each sound clearly. Break down difficult words into smaller parts. For example, when you pronounce the word unbelievable, slowly say each syllable and then put them together. Record yourself speaking slowly. Listen back to the recording and check if the words are clear. This exercise helps you spot any mispronunciations. Speaking slowly doesn't mean speaking too slowly, like a robot. It just means giving each sound the attention it deserves, so you can be clearly understood. Tongue twisters are an excellent way to improve your pronunciation. They help train your mouth to pronounce difficult combinations of sounds more clearly. The more you practice tongue twisters, the more you will develop control over your pronunciation. Here are a few examples. She sells seashells by the seashore. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Start by saying them slowly and carefully, and then gradually increase your speed as you become more comfortable. You'll notice that your mouth and tongue become more flexible and can handle more complex words and sounds. English is a stress-timed language, which means that certain syllables are stressed more than others in each word or sentence. The rhythm of the language depends on the stress pattern, and this affects the way you pronounce words. Listen to natural English speakers and notice which words they stress. Repeat sentences and practice stressing the important words while softening the less important ones. For example, I want to go to the store. In this sentence, want and store are stressed, and the other words are said quickly and softly. Building a strong vocabulary is essential if you want to express yourself more clearly, speak confidently, and truly master the English language. I know many of you feel that learning vocabulary can be overwhelming. There are so many words, and sometimes it feels like no matter how many new words you learn, you still forget them or can't use them in the right context. But don't worry. I'm here to tell you that improving your vocabulary does not have to be difficult. In fact, with the right strategies, you can learn new words quickly and start using them naturally in your speaking and writing. Read a variety of materials. Books, articles, blogs, newspapers, even social media posts can all help you expand your vocabulary. Pick materials that interest you so that reading doesn't feel like a chore. Highlight or underline unfamiliar words. If you're reading on paper, highlight the words you don't know. If you're reading digitally, use the built-in features to underline them. Look up the meaning of the word. Use a dictionary to check the meaning, but also check how it's used in context. Many online dictionaries even provide examples of the word in sentences, which is really helpful. Practice writing the new word down. Write a sentence using the word you've learned to reinforce it in your memory. For example, if you come across the word serendipity, which means a happy accident or finding something good without looking for it, write a sentence like this. I found my favorite book by pure serendipity while cleaning the attic. By reading regularly, you'll not only learn new words, but also improve your understanding of how words are used in different contexts. You can even add pictures or symbols to help you remember the meaning of a word more easily. For example, for serendipity, you could add a picture of someone finding a treasure unexpectedly. By consistently using flashcards, you're reinforcing the words in your long-term memory and making sure they stick. Another effective strategy is to learn words in groups or related themes. Instead of learning isolated words, grouping them together based on their meaning or context will make it easier to remember them and use them correctly. For example, emotions, happy, sad, angry, frustrated, excited, anxious, joyful, travel vocabulary, flight, passport, suitcase, destination, luggage, hotel, tour guide, business vocabulary, meeting, presentation, deadline, negotiation, client, contract, proposal. By learning words in context or related to specific topics, you will be able to recall them more easily and use them in the right situations. Here's how you can start. Pick a theme each week, such as travel, food, or business, and focus on learning 10 to 15 words related to that theme. Create mini lists of words you want to learn each week. For example, you could make a list of verbs, run, jump, swim, etc. Adjectives, beautiful, strong, tall, and nouns, dog, house, computer, etc. This method will help you build your vocabulary in a practical way and give you the confidence to speak on a variety of topics. Now, let me be clear. You do not need to study grammar all day, memorize lists of vocabulary, or worry about being perfect. What's the key to speaking English? It's living the language. It's about breathing it, thinking it, and using it every single day. The key to mastering English is not sitting in a classroom or memorizing complicated rules. It's about living with the language. Let's take a moment to really think about how you learned your first language. Did you sit down and read grammar books for hours? Did you study long lists of vocabulary? No. You learned by listening, imitating, and by making mistakes. You didn't worry about whether you were speaking correctly. You simply used the language every day. This is the exact same approach you will use to learn English. So, today, I want you to forget everything that has made English feel difficult for you. Forget the complicated grammar rules. Forget trying to be perfect. And most importantly, forget the fear of making mistakes. Because here's the truth. The biggest reason why people fail to speak English is fear. Fear of making mistakes, fear of sounding silly, fear of being judged. But now, I want you to ask yourself, how did you learn to walk? A child doesn't give up after falling a few times, right? They get up and keep trying over and over again until they walk without even thinking about it. The same thing happens with language learning. Mistakes are a natural part of the process. If you're not making mistakes, you're not learning. So, I want you to say this with me. English is easy. I can speak English. I am improving my English speaking skills every day. These words are powerful. The more you say them, the more your brain will start to believe them. Believe it or not, the way you think about English will make all the difference in your learning progress. If you believe English is hard, your brain will resist learning it. But if you start believing that English is easy, your brain will start to accept that. Your confidence will grow and your progress will accelerate. This is exactly how learning English works. Mistakes are part of the process. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. In fact, if you're not making mistakes, you're not pushing yourself to grow. Many people believe that in order to become fluent, they need to live in an English-speaking country. But that's not true. You can create an English environment wherever you are. One simple way to start is by changing the language on your phone to English. Every time you check your phone, you'll see English words. And trust me, this will start to feel normal soon. It's a small change, but it makes a big impact on your language learning. Another powerful technique is to start thinking in English. At first, you might think in your native language and then translate it into English. But that slows down your speaking. Instead, try thinking in English. For example, when you wake up, think, I am getting out of bed now. I will brush my teeth. The more you do this, the more natural it will feel. And guess what? You can even talk to yourself. I know it might sound funny, but talking to yourself in English is a powerful way to practice. Stand in front of the mirror and have a conversation. Ask yourself, how are you today? Or, what should I do next? Practice speaking without fear. This is a great way to improve your confidence and your ability to think and speak in English. A common mistake many learners make is focusing too much on grammar. It's important to understand grammar, but it's not the first step. If you focus too much on grammar, you'll always be afraid to speak. Think about how children learn their first language. They don't study grammar books. They learn by listening, repeating, and speaking. The grammar will come naturally. Instead of memorizing rules, focus on simple sentences. For example, instead of trying to learn every rule of the present continuous tense, just focus on sentences like, I am eating, or she is going to work. These simple sentences will help you start speaking more quickly. Once you start speaking, listen and repeat. Listen to how native speakers talk. Don't just understand the sentence, say it out loud. The more you do this, the more your grammar will improve naturally. One of the most important things to remember when learning a language is that confidence comes with practice. Speak every day, even if it's just for a few minutes. Talk to your reflection, your family, or a friend. The more you practice, the more confident you will become. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Mistakes are just stepping stones toward improvement. Here's an important tip. The more you speak, the easier it will become. When you speak every day, you start to feel more comfortable with the language. Soon, you'll speak without even thinking about it. Now, you've learned how to start speaking English naturally, with confidence and without fear. You've unlocked the key to fluency, living, thinking, and speaking in English every day. One of the most important strategies for learning new words is to learn them in context. What does that mean? It means learning how words are used in sentences and real-life situations, rather than just memorizing definitions. When you learn vocabulary in context, you start to understand how to use the word and when to use it. For example, if you learn the word excited, don't just memorize the definition. Learn how to use it in sentences like, I'm excited for the weekend. Or, she was excited to meet her favorite celebrity. Learning words this way helps you remember them more easily. You're not just memorizing a list of words, you're seeing how they fit into real conversations. The next time you hear that word, you'll immediately understand its meaning, and you'll be able to use it naturally. If you want to speed up your learning, flashcards are powerful tools you should start using right away. You can make your own flashcards with paper. Flashcards are great because they allow you to review words multiple times, which helps reinforce them in your memory. Here's how to make the most out of flashcards. 1. Write the word on one side. On the other side, write the definition or an example sentence. 2. Review them regularly. Flashcards are effective for reinforcing vocabulary when you review them often. Whether it's once a day or once a week, the key is consistency. These tools are fun, interactive, and they turn vocabulary learning into a game. Spend just 10 to 15 minutes a day on them, and you'll notice significant improvements. Now, let's talk about one of the most enjoyable ways to build your vocabulary: watching TV shows and videos in English. This is an excellent way to learn real-world vocabulary and pick up on phrases and expressions that native speakers use in everyday life. When you watch content in English, make sure to watch with subtitles in your native language first, then switch to English subtitles once you get more comfortable. This will help you connect what you hear to how it's written. Repeat new words and phrases aloud. Try saying the new words exactly how the characters do in the video. This will help improve your pronunciation and make the vocabulary stick in your mind. Take notes. If there's a word or expression you don't understand, pause the video and look it up. Write it down in a notebook, along with its meaning and an example sentence. Later, practice using that word in your own sentences. This method works because you're learning vocabulary that's directly related to real conversations and real-life situations, so you'll be able to use it naturally. Engage in real conversations with native speakers, friends, or language partners. This is where you'll really see your vocabulary grow. Speaking is one of the best ways to test how well you've learned new words. Plus, when you have a conversation, you'll be exposed to vocabulary in a practical, real-time setting, and you'll be forced to use the words you've learned. You can join language exchange programs. There are many platforms where you can connect with people who want to learn your native language while you practice English. Talk to friends or family members. Set aside time each day to talk to someone in English. Even if you make mistakes, this is an excellent way to practice and expand your vocabulary. Every time you learn a new word, write it down along with its meaning, pronunciation, and a sentence where you've used it. Why is this so effective? Because it helps you actively engage with the word, not just memorize it. Every week, go back and review your vocabulary journal to see how many words you've learned. Over time, your journal will become a collection of words you can look back on for practice and inspiration. To make your vocabulary learning even more effective, try focusing on themes. Learning words in thematic groups like food, travel, or emotions helps you remember them because they are connected in your mind. For example, if you're learning words related to food, you could learn words like fruit, vegetables, spicy, sweet, bitter, delicious, etc. When you learn words that are related to one another, you build connections in your brain that make it easier to recall them. Building a strong vocabulary takes time, and it's normal to forget words or struggle at first. Use these methods, make vocabulary a part of your daily routine, and watch your confidence soar. Your vocabulary is the foundation of your English fluency. While reading and listening are important for building your vocabulary and understanding grammar, speaking is where you put all of that knowledge into practice. When you speak regularly, you start to internalize new words, improve your pronunciation, and build your confidence. Not only does regular speaking practice help you become more fluent, but it also helps you sound more natural. It helps you understand the rhythm and flow of English, which is crucial for effective communication. So, if you're serious about improving your English, speaking has to be part of your daily routine. One of the easiest and most effective ways to practice speaking is by engaging in conversations with other people. Whether it's friends, language partners, or tutors, speaking with others helps you build your confidence and allows you to practice real-world English. Don't worry about being perfect. Everyone makes mistakes. What matters is that you're getting used to speaking in real conversations, even if you stumble sometimes. Now, this might sound a little strange, but talking to yourself in English is actually a great way to practice. It helps you get used to speaking out loud without the pressure of an audience. It's a wonderful way to build your fluency and vocabulary. Start by describing your surroundings or talking about your thoughts and feelings in English. For example, you could say things like, "I'm going to the grocery store today," or "I really enjoyed watching that movie last night." As you get more comfortable, challenge yourself by talking about more complex things, like your plans for the future or your opinions on current events. Talking to yourself might feel a bit awkward at first, but the more you do it, the easier and more natural it becomes. It's a great way to fill those quiet moments in your day with productive practice. Setting clear, achievable goals is key to making progress. When it comes to speaking practice, set daily or weekly goals like, "I'll speak in English for 10 minutes a day," or "I'll record myself talking about a specific topic for 5 minutes. Having a goal gives you something to work toward and helps you stay consistent. Good pronunciation is key to being understood by others. Even if you know a lot of vocabulary and have great grammar, if your pronunciation isn't clear, people may have a hard time understanding what you're saying. Think of pronunciation as the bridge that connects your words to the listener. It ensures that your message is delivered accurately. Imagine if someone couldn't understand your sentences because of mispronounced words. Frustrating, right? That's why focusing on pronunciation is one of the most effective ways to improve your speaking skills and become a more confident speaker. The main strategy to improve your pronunciation is by recording yourself. It might seem a bit strange at first, but recording yourself speaking in English is one of the best ways to notice areas where you need to improve. Here's how it works. Pick a sentence or a short paragraph and speak it into your phone or computer. After recording, play it back and listen carefully. How do you sound? Is your pronunciation clear? Are there words that you find difficult to pronounce? Listening to your own voice helps you spot areas where you're making mistakes. Maybe you're pronouncing a sound incorrectly or stressing the wrong syllable. By doing this regularly, you'll start to hear patterns in your speech, and you can work to correct them. It's also a great way to track your progress. Over time, you'll notice how your pronunciation improves, which is incredibly motivating. I recommend recording yourself daily, even if it's just for a few minutes. Thinking in English is such an important skill. When you translate from your native language to English in real time, it can slow you down. You might spend extra time searching for words, constructing sentences, or trying to match grammar rules. This can make you feel less confident and fluent. However, when you start thinking directly in English, you bypass that mental translation process. You become more spontaneous, quicker, and more natural in your conversations. Thinking in English allows you to express yourself without hesitation. It helps you become more confident because you won't be pausing every time you need to find a word or worry about getting the grammar exactly right. The first step to thinking in English is to start with simple thoughts. You don't need to think about complex topics right away. Just begin by describing the small things you do every day in English. Opens the fridge and says aloud in English, "I'm opening the fridge. I'm going to get some milk. I think I'll make a cup of coffee." By thinking about simple actions like this, you begin to get used to using English in your daily life. It doesn't matter if you're at home, at work, or even walking outside. Just start describing your surroundings and actions in English. This will gradually train your brain to think in English naturally without translating. Once you're comfortable thinking about simple activities, you can start working your way up to more complex thoughts. Instead of just describing what you're doing, try to think about ideas, opinions, and plans in English. English is spoken all around the world, and every region has its own way of speaking. Whether it's the American accent, the British accent, the Australian accent, or any other, each has its own unique sounds, pronunciation, and rhythm. When you're listening to someone with an accent that's different from what you're used to, it can feel like they're speaking a different language, even though it's still English. Another reason why understanding native speakers is tough is that they often use slang and informal language. Slang words and phrases are common in everyday conversations, but they are not usually taught in traditional English classes. For example, if someone says, "What's up?" they're not asking for your opinion on the weather. They're just saying hello or how are you. Understanding these casual expressions is essential if you want to keep up with native speakers. Lastly, there's something called connected speech. This is when words are pronounced together so closely that it's hard to separate them. For instance, when a native speaker says, "I'm gonna go," the words are linked together, and it might sound like "I'm gonna go" instead of saying each word separately. If you're not familiar with this, it can make listening to fast speech challenging. But don't worry, all of these things are normal. Native speakers do not always speak perfectly, and with some practice, you'll be able to understand them more clearly. It takes time, but it's completely possible. And in today's episode, we're going to go over some practical tips and techniques to help you improve. One of the best ways to get better at understanding native speakers is to listen to real conversations. This means listening to people speaking naturally, not just recordings of slow or scripted speech. Why? Because native speakers don't speak like textbook recordings. They speak quickly, use slang, and connect their words together in ways that might be new to you. So how can you do this? Start by listening to podcasts or YouTube videos in English. Choose topics that interest you, whether it's about sports or even cooking. The more you listen to natural conversations, the better you will get at understanding how native speakers talk. As I mentioned earlier, there are many different English accents, and each one has its own unique pronunciation and rhythm. The way people speak in London sounds different from the way people speak in New York or Sydney. If you're struggling to understand a particular accent, it's important to practice with that specific accent. It takes time, and the more you practice, the more natural it will feel. When native speakers talk, They often speak quickly, but don't worry if you miss a few words here and there. The key to understanding is to focus on the important words in a sentence. Native speakers often leave out small words like is, are, or the, or they may shorten them in casual speech. These small words are important for grammar, but they don't always affect the overall meaning of what's being said. Instead of stressing about understanding every word, try to focus on the key words that carry the meaning. These are usually the nouns, names of things or people, verbs, action words, and adjectives, describing words. For example, if someone says, "I'm going to the store to buy some groceries," you don't need to understand to or some, just focus on store, buy, and groceries. That will help you get the main idea. You can practice this by listening to a conversation and trying to pick out the most important words. Then, try to summarize what the conversation was about in your own words. This technique will help you improve your understanding of native speakers, especially when they speak fast or use unfamiliar vocabulary. In fact, the more you expose yourself to different accents, the better you'll become at understanding a variety of English speakers. Start by listening to a range of accents from different regions or countries. You could listen to British, American, Australian, or even African English accents. Each accent has its own unique sounds and ways of pronouncing words. By practicing with different accents, you'll train your brain to understand English in a variety of ways. If you're not sure where to start, you could try watching TV shows or movies from different countries. For example, you could watch a British movie, then an American one, then an Australian one. Listen carefully to how the characters speak and try to notice any differences in their pronunciation. Over time, you'll find it easier to understand people from different parts of the world. When you're listening to a native speaker, it can feel overwhelming because they speak in long sentences without stopping. But the truth is, native speakers tend to break their speech into smaller chunks. This is especially true in conversations, where speakers often pause between ideas or phrases. To improve your understanding, practice by breaking the speech into chunks. When you listen to a sentence, try to identify the natural pauses. For example, listen to a sentence like, "I went to the store, and then I saw my friend, and we decided to grab some coffee." There are clear breaks between "I went to the store," "I saw my friend," and "we decided to grab some coffee." These are natural breaks in speech that can make it easier for you to understand. You can practice by listening to a short conversation and pausing it after each chunk. Try to understand the meaning of each part before moving on to the next one. This will help you process information in smaller pieces, making it easier to understand fast speech. Now, let's talk about a technique called shadowing. Shadowing is when you listen to a native speaker and repeat what they say immediately, trying to match their speed, rhythm, and pronunciation as closely as possible. It's like you're their shadow, copying their every word. This is a powerful technique because it trains both your ears and mouth. By listening to and repeating the sentences you hear, you'll become more familiar with how native speakers speak. You'll also improve your pronunciation, rhythm, and intonation, which are all important for understanding spoken English. To get started with shadowing, choose a short video or audio clip that features natural speech. Listen to a sentence or two, then pause and repeat exactly what you heard. Try to copy the way the speaker says each word, paying attention to their tone and how they stress certain words. This will help you sound more natural and make it easier to understand other speakers who talk the same way. Don't worry if you can't keep up at first. Shadowing takes practice, and it's okay if you don't get everything right the first time. Keep practicing, and over time, your understanding of native speakers will improve. Finally, remember that it's okay to ask for clarification if you don't understand something. Native speakers are usually very understanding and will be happy to repeat what they said or explain it in a different way. Don't be embarrassed if you don't understand. Everyone has been there. If you're in a conversation and you didn't catch something, just say, "Sorry, could you say that again?" Or, "I didn't quite understand. Could you explain it differently?" Most people will appreciate that you're trying to improve your English, and they'll be happy to help. One of the best ways to understand native speakers is to use context clues. When you're listening, the situation, the topic, and even the body language of the speaker can give you a lot of information about what's being said. Sometimes, if you don't understand a specific word or phrase, try to figure it out based on the overall meaning of the conversation. For example, if you're in a conversation about food and someone says something like, "I'm going to grab a bite," even if you're not sure about the exact meaning of bite, you can guess from the context that they're talking about eating. Context clues are the little hints in the conversation that help you fill in the gaps when you don't understand every word. This technique works in a lot of situations, not just with food or daily life topics. For example, if you're listening to a story and someone says, "The car broke down and we had to call for a tow," you can guess that tow means help with getting the car to a repair shop, even if you don't know the exact definition of the word. Over time, your brain will become better at picking up on these clues, and it will make understanding native speakers much easier. Language learning is a process, and it takes time to adjust to different speeds, accents, and speech patterns. It's completely normal to feel like you're not understanding everything right away, but don't let that discourage you. Remember, fluency doesn't happen overnight. Every time you listen to a native speaker, you're making progress, even if you don't realize it. The key is to keep practicing and to keep pushing yourself. Over time, your brain will start to recognize the sounds and structures of spoken English, and it will become easier to understand. If you ever feel frustrated, take a break and remind yourself of how far you've come. It's not about perfection, it's about progress. Celebrate the small victories, like understanding a sentence you couldn't before or catching a word that used to be unclear. These moments add up, and before you know it, you'll be much more comfortable understanding native speakers. If you're looking for a structured way to improve your listening skills, listening comprehension exercises are a great way to go. Many language learning apps, websites, and books offer exercises where you can listen to a recording and then answer questions based on what you heard. These exercises are designed to help you practice understanding different types of spoken English, from conversations to lectures to news broadcasts. They help you focus on listening for specific information, which can be useful in real conversations as well. You can find a variety of listening comprehension exercises at different difficulty levels, so start with something that matches your current skills and gradually increase the difficulty as you improve. These exercises will not only improve your ability to understand native speakers, but they'll also help you learn to listen for details, which is important for real-world communication. If you're only familiar with basic vocabulary, it can be hard to keep up with fast-paced conversations, especially when native speakers use idiomatic expressions or slang. One way to improve your vocabulary is to learn new words every day. Make a list of words that you encounter while listening to podcasts, watching TV shows, or reading, and then look up their meanings. Focus on learning words that are commonly used in everyday conversations. Over time, you'll notice that you're able to recognize more words and phrases when native speakers use them. Another effective way to improve your vocabulary is by learning collocations, which are groups of words that often go together. For example, instead of just learning the word make, learn common phrases like make a decision, make a mistake, or make an effort. This will help you understand how words fit together in real conversations. Native speakers often use idiomatic expressions in casual conversations, and these expressions can be confusing if you're not familiar with them. An idiom is a phrase whose meaning is different from the literal meaning of the words in it. For example, it's raining cats and dogs doesn't mean animals are falling from the sky. It means it's raining heavily. While it might be hard to understand idiomatic expressions at first, they are an important part of natural speech. To get comfortable with them, start by learning some of the most common idioms. You can do this by listening to conversations and paying attention to expressions that you don't understand. Look them up and practice using them in your own speech. Over time, you'll find that you start recognizing idioms more easily, and your ability to understand native speakers will improve. It's important to practice active listening. Active listening means that you're fully engaged and focused on the speaker, rather than just passively hearing the words. When you listen actively, you pay attention to the speaker's tone, body language, and the context of the conversation, which will help you understand the meaning more clearly. You can practice active listening by trying to repeat what the speaker says in your own words. This is called paraphrasing, and it's a great way to check your understanding. If you can repeat what you've heard accurately, it means you've understood the message. Active listening also means that you don't interrupt the speaker. Let them finish their thought before responding. This will help you catch all the details and make it easier to understand the full message. One of the best ways to improve your listening and speaking skills is by joining conversation groups. Conversation groups are a great way to practice real-world conversations with other learners or even with native speakers. You can find these groups online or in person, depending on where you live. Many apps, websites, and social media platforms host online conversation groups where you can practice English with others from all around the world. The great thing about these groups is that they give you a chance to practice listening to different accents and speaking in a relaxed, non-judgmental environment. Plus, you'll get feedback from other people, which can help you improve your listening and speaking abilities. When you participate in conversation groups, try to focus not only on speaking, but also on listening actively. Make sure you understand what others are saying before jumping in. This will help you become more comfortable with the speed of real conversations and improve your ability to understand native speakers. In English, the stress and intonation of a sentence can change the meaning of what's being said. Stress refers to which syllables or words are emphasized in a sentence And intonation refers to the rise and fall of the voice while speaking. These are important parts of spoken English, and they can sometimes make it tricky to understand what's being said. For example, if someone says, "I didn't say you stole my book," depending on which word you stress, the meaning of the sentence can change. If you say, "I didn't say you stole my book," it means someone else might have stolen it. But if you say, "I didn't say you stole my book," it means you didn't speak those words. To improve your understanding of stress and intonation, try listening to native speakers and paying attention to which words they stress in each sentence. Notice how the pitch of their voice rises and falls. You can also practice repeating sentences, copying their stress and intonation. This will help you understand the natural rhythm of spoken English and improve your ability to follow conversations. Sometimes it's helpful to use transcripts to help you understand what native speakers are saying. Many podcasts, YouTube videos, and audio resources offer transcripts that show the exact words being spoken. You can use these transcripts to follow along while you listen. Here's a great practice method. First, listen to the conversation or audio without the transcript. Try to catch as much as you can. After listening, check the transcript to see what you missed. Then, listen again while reading along with the transcript. This will help you connect the sounds you're hearing with the words you see, making it easier to understand spoken English in the future. Once you get more comfortable with this, try to listen to the conversation again without the transcript and see how much more you can understand. Over time, you'll notice that you rely less on the transcript and understand more from just listening. Native speakers often use filler words in their conversations. These are words or sounds that don't add much meaning, but are used to fill pauses or give the speaker time to think. Some common fillers in English are words like, you know, and like. At first, these fillers can be distracting or confusing because they may make the conversation sound less clear. But don't worry. Fillers are normal in everyday speech, and they're often used to keep the conversation going. Recognizing them will help you focus more on the important parts of the conversation. The key is to not get too distracted by fillers. Instead, focus on the main points the speaker is trying to make. Once you start recognizing fillers, you'll be able to filter them out and focus on the content of the conversation. If you're looking for high-quality, clear English speech, TED Talks are an excellent resource. TED Talks feature speakers from all over the world talking about interesting and thought-provoking topics. The speakers in TED Talks tend to speak clearly and at a moderate pace, which makes it easier for English learners to follow along. You can start by watching TED Talks with English subtitles. Challenge yourself to watch without subtitles to improve your listening skills. TED Talks also offer transcripts for most videos, so you can follow along and learn new vocabulary. The topics covered in TED Talks are often engaging and informative, and they expose you to a wide range of vocabulary. By watching TED Talks regularly, you can improve both your listening skills and your ability to understand complex ideas in English. When you're trying to understand native speakers, it helps to focus on practical vocabulary that's used in everyday conversations. While it's great to learn advanced vocabulary, you'll find that native speakers use common words and phrases in their daily lives. By focusing on these practical words, you'll be able to understand more of what's being said in real conversations. Start by learning vocabulary related to daily activities, such as food, travel, work, hobbies, and shopping. Practice using these words in sentences so you can recognize them when native speakers use them. This will help you feel more comfortable in everyday conversations and make it easier to understand what others are saying. To improve your understanding of native speakers, it's a good idea to listen to different types of audio. You can listen to news broadcasts, interviews, podcasts, radio shows, and even YouTube videos. Each of these types of audio will expose you to different speaking styles and vocabulary, which will help you become more versatile in your listening. For example, news broadcasts tend to use more formal language, while podcasts or YouTube videos might be more casual and conversational. By listening to a variety of sources, you'll get a more well-rounded understanding of how native speakers communicate in different contexts. One helpful tip for improving your listening skills is to keep a listening journal. In this journal, write down new words, phrases, and expressions that you hear while listening to native speakers. You can also make notes about the context in which they were used and how the speaker said them. By keeping track of the words and phrases that are most difficult for you to understand, you'll be able to focus on learning them. You can even try using these words in your own speech to practice and reinforce what you've learned. This will help you build your vocabulary and improve your ability to understand native speakers over time. Some of the best apps for improving listening skills include language learning apps like Duolingo, Babbel, and Memories, which focus on building your vocabulary and listening comprehension. These apps often feature audio clips and quizzes to test your understanding of spoken English. Another great option is Anki, a flashcard app that can help you memorize new words and phrases that you hear in conversations or while watching videos. But it's not just language apps that can help. There are many podcast apps like Apple Podcasts that offer a wide range of English content at different levels. Whether you prefer listening to news, stories, interviews, or podcasts about specific topics like science or business, these apps give you endless opportunities to practice listening to native speakers. For more immersive practice, there are also apps designed specifically for listening to English conversations like Hello Talk and Tandem. These apps connect you with native speakers who can help you practice listening and speaking in real conversations. It's like having a language partner wherever you go. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today on English Fluency Teacher Channel. I truly hope you enjoyed this episode and, more importantly, found the tips useful as you work on mastering your listening skills. Don't forget, practice really is the key. The more you work these strategies into your routine, the more natural and confident you'll begin to feel. Now it's your turn to take what you've learned today and put it into action. Lastly, don't forget to subscribe to the English Fluency Teacher channel so you won't miss out on any new episodes. Next time, we'll be tackling another engaging topic that's sure to help you to improve your English speaking skills and build even more confidence. I'm here cheering you on every step of the way, and I can't wait to continue this learning journey together. Thank you again for being here with me and investing in your English skills.